Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the Slows Wrestling Show, your source for all things wrestling and sports entertainment. Live from Palm Harbor, Florida. Coming up, CM Punk possibly getting a role on a backstage studio show. My experience meeting Jimmy Hart at Hogan's Beach Shop. New Japan Pro Wrestling Fighting Spirit New York thoughts and opinions. My return to Tampa Bay Pro Wrestling and my new role. Hulk Hogan opening new restaurant and more on the Slows Wrestling Show. Welcome back to the Slows Wrestling Show, your source for all things wrestling and sports entertainment. Now, according to CBS Sports, CM Punk may be getting a role for a backstage studio show. Punk was said to be trying out for the spot with WWE. So never in a million years did I think CM Punk would be returning to the wrestling world, doing something other than wrestling inside the squared circle. And I think it's cool that he's going to be doing voice work for sports entertainment in this industry. And I would like to see him in a possible commentary role with Renee Young. And I think what this means for CM Punk is that he is going to be going a different direction. He wants to try things new. And I think that's going to bring him to a whole different level in this business for sure. Now I would like to talk about my experience meeting Jimmy Hart at Hogan's Beach Shop in Clearwater, Florida. So I was on the beach last weekend and decided to go into Hogan's Beach Shop because it's one of my favorite stores on the beach. And I had no clue he was going to be there. I walked in and for sure there he was, Jimmy Hart. And he is one of my favorite managers of all time because he's managed the Hart Foundation, Jim D. Anvil, Neidhart, and Bret Hart, and he's managed Hulk Hogan. And I decided I would pay the $20 for the 2 autographs and a picture. So when I walked up to him, I told him what I was aspiring to do, what I am aspiring to do, and that is to be a wrestling commentator. And he gave me some really, really good commentary advice. He said to always pay attention to what the referee is saying and doing in the ring and when he throws hand signals, because that's how you know what's going on in the match and what important stuff is happening in the match. And it was awesome. He's amazingly kind. He's down to earth, and he's an awesome human being. Like, it was awesome meeting him. And I got to watch wrestling with him for 5 minutes before I left the store. And this is a moment I will never, ever forget in my entire life because he's one of my favorites and he's a legend in this business. So that was fun, and it was a great moment for me. Now I'd like to give my thoughts and opinions on New Japan Pro Wrestling's Fighting Spirit show in New York City. So I give this show a 10 out of 10 for the performances and matches, especially with the Rock and Roll Express teaming with Hiroshi Tanahashi, Tiger Hattori retiring from being an official in New Japan Pro Wrestling, and the 6-man tag match against Roppongi 3K. And I honestly believe New Japan does an amazing job at preparing and booking these shows. And it's just incredible what they do. And they make these shows like weekly, and people stay glued to them all the time because of the performances these athletes put on. And I believe the best show so far this year for New Japan has been the G1 Climax 29. That has been the best show so far. And Jay White as the new IWGP Intercontinental Champion, I love that. I love that idea, and I think they should stick with it and keep him as a champion for a long, long time. Like for at least a year or a couple months, because he's an amazing athlete. Just the matches he puts on against Tetsuya Naito, against Hiroshi Tanahashi, those guys, he just pulls out all the stops every single time. And that is incredibly amazing to me. And I hope they keep going with that. I hope they stick with that role for him. Now I'd like to talk about Tampa Bay Pro Wrestling. So I was just given a backstage role as an interview person, and I'm really excited to start in that new area and field of professional wrestling because it's going to help me evolve more, and I'm trying to learn everything as possible. Like, do everything that I can to help and to evolve as a broadcaster. And I think that's really cool that they're allowing me to do this. And I think the wrestling organization is doing an amazing job. Battle of the Bay, the last show, was just all out, a great attendance, a great booked show. All the matches were amazing, and all the athletes did an incredible job. And I think we can expect more fans to come to these kind of shows for Tampa Bay Pro Wrestling. And the next show, I believe, is October 26th, but we'll get to that more later on in the show. So last week, I found out Hulk Hogan is opening a new restaurant on Clearwater Beach called Hogan's Hangout. And I think this will be an amazing place for wrestling fans and tourists to hang out and have fun. And I believe there will be special appearances now and then from Kevin Nash, Jimmy Hart, Hulk Hogan, Scott Hall, all those different legends of the wrestling business. And I think it could possibly open next month or 2 months down the road, hopefully, because I really want to see what this place is going to look like. I already got a glimpse of it when I was on Clearwater Beach. I looked through the glass, and it's right on the corner of Mandalay Avenue, where Mandalay Surf Shop used to be. And I'm really excited. I cannot wait for this place to open. It's going to be amazing. Now, according to SB Nation, Adam Cole was pulled from NXT house shows due to an injury, which is rumored to be a radius fracture in his right arm. So I think Adam Cole could be limited to more house shows for this reason in order to prevent further injury. And I think this is a great move that WWE is doing this because they want to keep their top star. They want to keep him as NXT champion. And I think this thing is going to need time to heal, but not much, because they're still going to need him for a ton of shows, like the live shows at Full Sail University. And we can expect him to keep competing in the ring. So I'm definitely looking forward to seeing him hopefully face Finn Balor or Johnny Gargano or Tommaso Ciampa, one of those three people. So it's gonna be amazing, and I cannot wait for that. Now, according to Wrestling News, WWE NXT TV deal with USA Network has not yet led to a pay raise for wrestlers. So this could be very, very frustrating for many of the wrestlers on the NXT roster who work their asses off to receive what they work hard for. And David Meltzer of Wrestling Observer says that wrestlers are earning less than $10,000 per year. And that's not good. I think everybody should be receiving higher and equal pay if WWE wants to keep making NXT the top brand of WWE. I think eventually they are going to pay them top dollar, but they need time to develop more. They need time to develop their program more for USA Network. And once they start doing that, then I think they'll start paying them off higher rates. I will take a break, but when we come back, AEW Dynamite DC results, Jushin Thunder Liger retiring, my thoughts on Finn Balor going over to NXT, NXT results, AEW toppling NXT by over 500,000 views, and more on the Slows Wrestling Show. Welcome back to the Slows Wrestling Show, your source for all things wrestling and sports entertainment. Now here are the AEW Dynamite DC results. Cody defeats Sammy Guevara via pinfall. MJF defeats Brandon Cutler via submission. SoCal Uncensored and the Lucha Bros brawl before the tag team tournament. Pac defeats Hangman Adam Page via submission. AEW Women's Championship. Rhea defeats Nyla Rose via pinfall to win the inaugural title. Chris Jericho, Santana, and Ortiz defeat Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks via pinfall. Jon Moxley and Kenny Omega brawl backstage, and Jack Swagger makes his AEW debut. Now I would like to talk about Jushin Thunder Liger, who is retiring after Wrestle Kingdom in January. So my favorite matches that I have seen Jushin Thunder Liger in are against Minoru Suzuki, Rey Mysterio in Nitro in the 90s, Ultimo Dragon, and Eddie Guerrero. And I think this guy is going to be remembered as one of New Japan's best wrestling stars because he's been everywhere. He's been around the world. He's been to Mexico. He's been to the United States. He's competed in many organizations, many promotions. And he's going to be remembered for years and ages, probably decades to come. But I'm sure going to miss this guy because he's been an all-around great athlete. And he's been one of the best to ever do it. So now I'd like to talk about Finn Balor going back to NXT. I believe this was an amazing, smart move made by WWE by doing this. And the type of feuds I would like to see Finn Balor in on the yellow brand are against Adam Cole, Tommaso Ciampa, hopefully Killian Dane, Roderick Strong, against Walter. That would be amazing. And I would like to see him team with Velveteen Dream. I think this would be a great type of build for him on that roster. And I think that's what WWE is trying to do, is they're trying to build up their show as much as they can for NXT. And I hope it's paying off because I hope they stick with this. It's going to be amazing to see what kind of angles they can give Finn Balor on the NXT brand. Now here are the NXT results from this week. NXT Championship. Adam Cole, the champion, defeats Matt Riddle via pinfall to retain the title. Johnny Gargano defeats Shane Thorne via pinfall. NXT Women's Championship. Shayna Baszler, the champion, defeats Candice LeRae via submission to retain the title. Damian Priest strikes. Pete Dunne defeats Danny Burch via pinfall. NXT Tag Team Championship. The Undisputed Era, the champions, defeat the Street Profits via pinfall to retain the titles. Now, according to CBS Sports, AEW has toppled NXT by over 500,000 views this week. So this is something I was not expecting at all. I thought NXT and AEW would draw close viewership numbers. And NXT, they have to find a new way to draw fans to their shows to stay glued to their show each week. And so far, I think fans can enjoy Wednesday nights with new things on the horizon for pro wrestling each week. So far between AEW and NXT, they are kicking off to a great start. And I cannot wait to see how these shows battle back at each other and who comes out on top in the end each week in ratings. Now here's a quick announcement. Coming up on Saturday, October 26th, will be Tampa Bay Pro Wrestling's second show at the Campbell Park Rec Center called Evil Intentions. General admission will be $7 with kids 13 and under free with ringside adult, and VIP will be $12. Come on down and enjoy the best of the Tampa Bay Pro Wrestling roster and a show that will be spectacular. You do not want to miss this exciting event. That is going to do it for this week's episode. Be sure to follow me on Twitter at ShowSlows and follow the Slows Wrestling Show Facebook page, as well as check out my website, slowswrestling.onuniverse.com for more. That's slowswrestling.onuniverse.com. From Palm Harbor, Florida, I'm Alex Slows saying goodbye for now. Have a good evening, everybody.